Hello guys, Broadbat1 here, along with Charmander in the background as always, and welcome to my last video of 2020. And in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video, the last video of 2020, we're going to be talking about something very specific. We're going to be talking about the top 5 best decks released in 2020. Seeing as obviously this year has not had a ton of Yu-Gi-Oh events, this year has not seen the most amazing plays, the most amazing streams. It's seen the introduction of rush duels, it's seen the introduction of new sets, it's seen the introduction of sets that don't follow the anime, seeing as Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s is like its own thing introducing rush duels. It has all of that. And seeing as all of that's a thing, and the game has actually hit a new point where we're basically seeing new decks in the game, but we didn't really see any events, I thought, hey, why not talk about the top 5 decks of 2020 as my last Yu-Gi-Oh! Video of the year, because hell, there has been a lot, and I mean a lot of good Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks released this year. There have been so many cool ones, there's been so many sets released, such as literally the Rage of Ra set that gave us the Ghost Ra, the Speed Duel Battle Box, which is the only good Speed Duel box to buy, and it's given us Return of the Duelist, it's given us Eternity Code, Ignition Assault, it's given us so many different sets in the year, and I thought, why not talk about the top 5 best decks released in the year of 2020? So, guys, without further ado, let's actually get into this and talk about the best 5 decks released this year. So, the 5th best deck released in 2020. The 5th best deck, in my personal opinion, that was released in 2020 is Eldritch. Now, Eldritch is definitely one of the best decks released in 2020 for a couple of reasons. First being, it is the most consistent, recyclable control deck in the game. This deck gets its resources back like no tomorrow, constantly getting ways to get back his stuff. Like literally the main card of the deck, Eldritch the Golden Lord. Oh, I'm just going to send a spell or trap card on my board to the graveyard to special summon myself, well, add myself to the hand, and then special summon myself from the hand to the field. And it's just like... What am I looking at here? This is the most recoverable trap deck in the game, and not only does its boss monster do that, but all of the traps and the spells do it as well. Cursed Elderland, pay 800, search any Golden Land card or Golden Lord from your deck to your hand. When it's sent to the graveyard, send a Golden Land card from your deck to the graveyard. When any of the trap cards or the spell cards are in the graveyard, such as the Elder Elixirs or the Golden Land cards are in the grave, you can go ahead and banish them and literally just say, oh, I'm going to banish this card to set either a Golden Land or an Elder Elixir respectively, depending on which one you had in the graveyard. If it's Golden Land, you're going to set an Elder Elixir. If it's an Elder Elixir, you're going to set a Golden Land. And the deck just has so much recurability and usability in so many different decks right now. Some off the top of my head invoked Dogmatica, Zodiac, the decks that really are using the Eldritch deck to its fullest compatibility. And it's just like, this deck is definitely one of the best decks released in the year of 2020. It's the best control deck ever made. Well, one of the best control decks ever made. I still have my heart for all guys, you know what I mean? And it's still one of the greatest decks in the game. And it's definitely a deck right now that is considered one of the best decks in the game. Mixed with like Zodiac and stuff. On its own, it's a bit iffy, but it's still one of the best decks of 2020. So Eldritch, definitely one of the best decks of 2020. I cannot imagine that this deck would not be one of the best decks of 2020. So at number 5, Eldritch, it's definitely one of the best decks released in 2020. So just take it as I say it, because it really is. At number 4, the 4th best deck released in this year is Plunder Patrol, released in Ignition Assault. And people are probably looking at me right now, really? You think this deck is one of the best decks released in the year? And honestly, yes. This deck, in my personal opinion, is one of the best decks released this year for a couple of reasons. More so, less because of its competitive side, because yes, it does see competitive play in here and there. It's not one of the most competitive decks out there, but in my opinion, it is definitely one of the best decks released this year for a couple of reasons. The first being, it is one of the most unique decks ever released in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! It revolves around all sorts of extra deck mechanics, such as Synchro, Link, Xyz, and Fusion, the 4 extra deck mechanics that the game really does rely on, and it does it in its own way. Sure, it can do them the main ways, where you use a tuner and a non-tuner monster to make a Synchro monster, or you use a Fusion spell to make a Fusion monster, or you use 2 level 4s to make an Xyz monster, or hell, 2 monsters to make a Link monster. But this deck has its own way of doing it by using cards like Redbeard and Whitebeard to go ahead and summon the monsters from the extra deck based on what your opponent has on the board or in the graveyard. And in my personal opinion, that really does put this deck ahead, in my opinion, because it's one of the few decks out there that really does just have its own unique mechanic, that has its own unique playstyle, and it's really just a lot of fun. Like, to make this deck even better, you can play cards like the Kaijus as well to go ahead and give the attributes that you need to go ahead and summon like the Black Ship or the Synchro Ship or the Fusion Ship. And you even have some amazing cards in the deck, such as the Equip spell that says you can use the attributes that are in your graveyard as well. So if you have like a Magician's Souls, you can mix that in the deck as well, which just makes it a lot of fun. And Plunder Patrol is just one of the most unique decks released this year, and because of that, I just really honestly see this deck as a great deck. It's a great deck, it's a fun deck, it is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best decks of the year of 2020, and I really can't stress this enough when I say I really do feel like this is one of the more unique decks of the year, and because of that, I give it the full spot of the decks released in 2020 that I personally think are the best. So, number 4 is Plunder Patrol, one of the most unique decks ever released, and I really am happy to see it this year. The third best deck released in 2020 is Dogmatica. I don't think it's a hard thing to say when we all look at Dogmatica and truly think this is one of the best decks released this year. Released in Return of the Duelist, the first set to have pretty much no anime cards to speak of, because literally it was announced to have no anime cards, and I'm saying this again, and the deck is honestly an amazing deck. It is definitely one of the best strategies in the game right now, utilizing cards like Ecclesia to search any Dogmatica card from the deck, using cards like Punishment to send cards from the extra deck to the graveyard to destroy cards on the board, having it one of the most insanely broken cards in the game, known as Nadir's Servant, being able to send cards from the extra deck to the graveyard to go ahead and search any Dogmatica card from the deck. This deck is absolutely one of the best decks released this year, and not only is it one of the best decks to actually be played, seeing play in Eldritch, Zodiac, Shaddoll, Invoked, seeing play in all of these other strategies, but it's also given us an amazingly rich new lore, introducing the tri-brigades, the Spriggans, and now this new Leviathan thing, this serpent thing. And honestly, looking at Dogmatica giving us this amazing lore, giving us this just amazing deck to play with so many different things, being one of my favorite strategies of the year to actually pilot, it really is definitely one of the best decks of the year, having just such an amazing story behind it that is really, really cool, just having a really good playstyle, being able to search any of its cards from the deck to the hand with Ecclesia, and then having Nadir's Servant that can make decks even more consistent, so actually giving you more popability by using your extra deck. And even though the deck does give you extra deck lock, it still doesn't mean you have to be locked for the whole turn, so you can pretty much do whatever you want to do before using those effects, and then go into your actual plays. So I honestly feel like Dogmatica is definitely one of the best decks this year. It's only the third best deck in my personal opinion this year, but it's still definitely a really cool strategy and a really good deck to play this year, and I'm really happy to see that Konami gave it to us this year in Return of the Duelist. So that is number 3 though. Let's actually go on to the second one, because honestly number 2 is another one of my most favorite decks to play this year, I'm not gonna lie. So let's go on to number 2. But number 2, the second best deck released in the year of 2020 is Adamantipator. Adamantipator is another really good deck this year that really was released with its own strategy, its own mechanics, and really did show that it is one of the best decks of the year. Not only being one of the best decks for a couple of formats thanks to Block Dragon this year, even though the deck didn't see a lot of play because obviously there's no tournaments this year, the deck was still one of the best decks online. The deck was still one of the best decks even after that, being an easily tier 2 deck after it lost Block Dragon. The deck still had amazing plays thanks to Crystal and Happy Firebrax and Linkross. And no matter what, this deck had its own strategy as well, revolving around excavating cards from the top of your deck, actually putting rock monsters, one of the least powerful archetypes in the game, on the map, making cards like Kokimaru Guardian useful, Kokimarus in general useful. Like legit, you can see all the negation Kokimarus being used when this deck was actually being released. Guardian was just the best because it negated hand traps. And honestly, Adamant's Pair, even now, still being a really strong combo deck, even though it's lost Block Dragon, is still really cool to me and still really happy for me. So I'm honestly really happy to know that Adamant's Pair was one of the best decks released this year. I can't believe that this deck was released alongside Eldritch, because like honestly, these two decks in Secret Slayers had such a fight to see which was the most expensive, because Golden Lord was extremely short printed and Researcher was really short printed as well, so stuff like that. But guys, honestly, this deck was one of the best decks of the year. I really do loved it. The art style, the play style, just how you top your deck, how you can stack your deck, and then Excavate 5, how it's a luck factor based deck. Like literally, if your luck ain't good, you're not going to be able to do anything with this deck. And even now, the deck just having so many combos still and so many ways to play it is just really cool to me, and I'm really happy to see that this deck is really cool and was even released this year, because of honestly, as soon as I got my hands on this deck, I was having fun with it, so I'm happy to know that this deck was great. But that's number 2. Let's actually get on to the best deck of the year now, because this deck honestly gave us something that I never thought would happen. So guys, this is number 2. Let's go on to number 1. So at number 1, the best deck released in the year of 2020, the deck that I was surprised to see released, the deck that Charmander was surprised to see released, that the deck that was so many people was surprised to see released and even created, is Drytron. And it's Drytron for a couple of reasons. The main reason being, though, that it literally made every ritual monster in the game playable. Whether it be a really bad ritual monster that was made like 17 years ago, or a really good ritual monster that really had no way to be played, such as the Ultimate Herald of Arclight, or whatever it is, the Demise King of Armageddon, the Draco Overlord ritual monster. It made all these bad ritual monsters suddenly playable. And the reason for that is because it made Drytron Meteorosis, the first ritual spell ever to be created that introduced ritual summoning with attack points. Now, as we know, throughout the years of Yu-Gi-Oh!, every ritual summon has been based on level. It's never come to a point where we've had attack-based ritual summoning. And because of Drytron's creation, we now have an entirely new way to ritual summon, and that alone really does make Drytron the best deck of the year. Like, we've had so many decks released this year that have really interesting mechanics, such as the Plunder Patrol, the Eldritch, the adamant Pair, but Drytron takes the cake for the pure fact that it says, I can ritual summon using attack points. Now, obviously, it focuses mainly on machine-type monsters, and Drytron, on their own, are still a really, really strong deck. Even though they have this one card, they're still a really strong deck in the game, having so many different combos, thanks to the fact that they can just tribute ritual monsters or other Drytrons to summon themselves from the hand, and go into all of these other situations, like, you can go into a VFD turn 1, you can skip your opponent's turn, which is absolutely insane, you can search the Herald of Arclights, hand traps. You can search all sorts of different things from your deck, and you can do all sorts of different things from your deck, because you have ways to search any ritual monster in the game. You have ways to literally just abuse cards like Cyber Angel Ben 10, and the Cyber Angel that literally just says, I'm going to snatch steal your opponent's entire board. Like, the deck is absolutely insane, and being a combo based deck that just has so many ways to play the game, relies on level 1 machine monsters that when we first saw them, oh, this ritual based deck is going to have a level 5 ritual monster that just uses 5 monsters to go ahead and go into a ritual summon. It's absolutely insane to think that we got a ritual based deck that says, oh, you can ritual summon with attack points now, and instantly made every ritual monster ever created then playable. And guys, this deck has seen multiple different variations. This deck sees a Megalith variant, this deck sees a Cyber Ranger variant, Fairy version, Skip Turn variant, VFD variant. Like, this deck has so many different variants. The pure variant that just runs like 5 ritual monsters, because Drytron Meteorosis also lets you ritual summon from the graveyard. It's absolutely insane to think that Drytron exists, and it definitely is the #1 best deck of the year. So guys, those are the 5 decks released in the year of 2020 that I think are the best. They are there for multiple reasons, for their own reasons, the whole thing I've talked about throughout the entire video. Eldritch being the most consistent control deck ever made, Dogmatica giving us a plethora of lore in the game, Drytron giving us an entirely new way to ritual summon and making ritual monsters that have not seen the light of day in years be playable. All these decks have a reason to be here and are my personal opinion the reason why they are on this list. But guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions as well in the comment section below. Do you guys feel like some of these decks could be different? Do you think Virtual World or maybe the Tri-Brigade are some of the best decks released this year? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below because I would love to hear those as well. But guys, before we end out this video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for liking, thank you so much for subscribing, thank you everybody who has come to my channel this year, and I just really wanted to say this to all of you because my channel may not be the best channel out there to watch Yu-Gi-Oh content. I make a lot of different kind of content. I make content like these, the top 5 videos, I make like discussion videos, card talking videos, duels and deck profile videos, but honestly, guys, this year for Yu-Gi-Oh! And my YouTube channel, it has just been a great year, and I'm very thankful for all of you coming to the streams, watching the videos, subscribing, and to think that I've actually hit a milestone this year of 1,000 subscribers and going now on 1,400 subscribers, almost to 1,500. It's absolutely insane, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching, guys. Like, honestly, it's been a really hard year for me to make Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. Like, even though I've been updating my setup, even though I've been making better quality videos, like, as you can see right now, this is probably a much better quality video than I normally make because, well, I've got a new webcam, and guys, honestly, this year has been absolutely insane. Introducing Charmander as one of my friends in this video, doing streams with you guys, talking to you guys, updating my setup, like, just, it's been absolutely wild ride. It's been an absolutely insane ride, and I just wanted to say, guys, for you guys who are watching me, for you guys who subscribe, it's absolutely insane to think. And this year I've had an amazing growth. I've updated my content, my quality, my setup, and I know I'm just rambling on, guys, but this is honestly what I wanted to say at the end of this video because it's been an insane 2020. Even though we haven't been able to play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, doing this has really kept me in the game. Doing this has really kept me up to date with Yu-Gi-Oh, and YouTube is one of my main things. And without you guys watching the videos, liking them, subscribing, and everything along those lines, I probably wouldn't be doing this. I probably wouldn't be making videos constantly, weekly. Like, I've honestly made so many videos, and it's really hard for me to make videos sometimes because it's like I've got him in the background, I've got life going on, I've got work, I've got all this other stuff in my life, and knowing you guys are here, it really does make it worthwhile to make these videos. But guys, this is the last video of 2020. I hope you enjoyed Robert Bat 1, Absolute Duelist, the channel this year. I can't wait for the next year to see what it brings. Hopefully we'll be going to more events. Hopefully I'll be bringing back real duel videos because that's something I really love to do on the channel. I love to do real duel videos. It's just haven't been able to do them. Maybe I'll have to swap them out for remote duels if I can find people to do that with as well. But guys, thank you so much for watching this channel. Tell me what your thoughts are on these top 5 decks, in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on what you might think is the best decks of the year. Virtual World, Tri-Brigade, maybe one of those are in your list instead of mine. And guys, me and Charmander will see you in the new year. Robot 1 signing out. See you next year all.